Today I'm Bob from Paradise, and today we're going to have a look at a few tropical plants. We have quite a few different tropical plants growing here, some subtropical, some tropical, and you'll find there are quite a few that you can grow in cooler areas. First there's a zone from here down to Coffs Harbour, subtropics. You'll find that there's a lot of adaptable plants to that area. Now, some of them will also grow in the warmer parts of Sydney and Melbourne. Any warm spot, you'll know if you've got a warm spot where it's not frosty and protected from the wind. Then you'll find that there's some that should never be tried in anywhere but the tropics. Generally we don't tend to have those because they don't survive here anyway. Okay, so let's start with the Titan arum. These are this year's seedlings. These grow in Sumatra, but the thing about these, now they are a tropical plant, but they grow at 800 metres altitude. Temperature's generally about 30 degrees all the time, so you'll find they die down in the winter, so you can grow them in cooler places. And you know, it's a very interesting collector's plant. Takes you a while to get a flower, but when you've got one, you'll probably have 10,000 visitors. So if we just go down here a bit more, that's our Byfield fern. A lot of the gingers, this is just the plain edible ginger, but it gets a nice flower on it. It's quite ornamental, and you can see how we've cut it back. Brings up two more plants. That's full of rhizome. If I pull that out, it'll be all rhizome. So this is the edible ginger. You can get it in that you use and get in the supermarkets. Dies down in winter, in the cooler areas anyway, not in the tropics. No problem to growing in cold places because there's nothing above the ground to be damaged in the winter time. Then in the spring, up it comes again. Alocasias, another deciduous plant. It's a tropical plant, but because it dies down in the winter, comes up again in the spring, you can grow alocasias. That's a little black velvet, that one. We have lots and lots of ferns. This is a fairly warm climate fern, but it's strawberries and cream, adiantum, maidenhair. We do lots of maidenhairs, and most of them will grow in moderately cool areas. We send this one down south a fair bit, but beautiful fern, but there's others that are a bit more cold tolerant than that one. If we go over here, fiddle leaf fig. These are actually the plants that we send out. So this is a fiddle leaf fig. Beautiful indoor plant. You can grow it certainly indoors just about anywhere. It grows into a big tree outside, but keep it in a pot, and they're a very valuable plant. Go and try and buy one. They'll be very expensive. Cordylines like that one, if you want to get on that leaf there, Dylan. It's called Where is Charm? Where is Gold, I should say. We've got lots of different cordylines. Now they're tropical, subtropical, growing cooler areas as long as you've got a really warm spot for it. There's actually a couple down here. That one there. We've got lots of different cordylines. That's Purple Prince. And have a go at the foliage on this one here. Just bring that close up on this foliage there. That's the sort of colours that you get with cordylines. Just coming back here. Diaglonomas. Now these they really need nice hot weather to grow. We've found they're surviving over winter really well, but they don't do much until they get hot temperatures. Beautiful colours, and if you put them out in the garden, you'll find that they'll do quite well in warm areas. In the colder areas, we're not sure yet how they're. You need them inside, as far as we know, in the winter time. Mm-hmm. So here's another one, little Phontonias. Beautiful plants, indoor plant. Keep the water off it and Great little tropical plant. You'll find that some tropical plants like anthuriums have been developed over some years, like these anthuriums here, actually come from Holland. Now, in the winter we can leave these outside, whereas a lot of the other ones that haven't been bred for cold, well, they'll die right back in the winter. You could even lose them. So, because these anthuriums, which are a tropical plant, have been bred for cold, well, there you go. They're getting more cold tolerant each year. So, anthuriums are a great tropical plant, and lots of colours. Over, just talking about the ferns, the tassel fern, often come from tropical areas. It's what's that one? That's the Queensland layered. Comes from up North Queensland. They're an epiphyte, but they will keep them inside like in a bathroom or something like that in colder areas, and outside when it's warm, and no problems at all. They're very easy to grow. That's the tassel fern. And by the way, getting harder and harder to get. You're going to be, if they're not a collector's item now, give them 10 years and you won't be able to buy a tassel fern. They're getting harder and harder to get. They take so long to grow, and there'll be no one willing to grow them. So if you want to get a tassel fern, you want to get it now. So if we just wander down here a little bit more, gingers. This is a native ginger. Grows in this area. Go right down to, it's a red back form, right down to Coffs Harbour. That's the size pot that we send plants out in. Mostly it's 70 millimetres across the top and about 5 inches deep. It's not one of these incy-wincy little tubes, which we are starting to sell at a very low price now, but if we're selling something in that tiny little tube, we'll let you know. So these are quite big plants. If you come in, this is the Ixora. Ixoras are becoming really popular, and finding that they're growing quite well areas around here. We're not sure how they're performing way down in Melbourne, places like that. But I know they're being planted there at the moment, but around here they're perfectly fine outside. Like here's another ginger here, the Malaysian. What do we call this one? I forget it at the moment. Malaysian something. See, it's got the nice brown leaves and gets a very interesting flower. Now this is a deciduous ginger, so these deciduous ones, like the curcumas that we've had recently, if you've got a deciduous ginger that dies right down, it can't be damaged in the winter, so you can grow it in colder areas. It dies down to nothing. Just keep it on the drier side until spring, and then away it'll go again. And they're very quick flowering. They flower every year. You don't have to wait for the plant to age or anything like that. So we'll just go down a little bit further. Here's some more of these Untitled. If you just want to come in onto that one there, the Untitled. And then up here we've got Caladiums, which again die down in the winter, and so you can grow them in colder areas. Absolutely magnificent colours. If we go down, we've got Dracaena. This is what we call Dracaena compacta. I won't pull it out, still got some roots into the great indoor plant, tropical plant that will take all areas. It's inside, I should say. They're really good inside, so you can have it anywhere. Now if we come to this is one of our Titanariums. This is our biggest one at the moment. And there's got some others that we've potted up over there. These ones over the back here are ones that have got bigger corms that we sell later on. And that's the Titanarium. I've actually had this one out in full sun. Okay, we'll go down a bit further. Some more. This is the yellow anthurium. Pretty hard to get hold of. We're selling a few, that's all this year. Next year we'll be selling more of those. But they're beautiful flower. We've got some others over the back there. You can You can see anthuriums are just a great plant. I'll go down a bit further here. This is a Caladium ginger. It'll grow just about anywhere. Tropical plant, but it'll grow. Mr. Midnight, that was that ginger. I couldn't think of its name. The brown with the brown foliage. Zingiva Mr. Midnight. Some more Caladiums. Beautiful colour in the foliage. You can see they actually multiply up. We've actually divided these ones, but you'll find that they actually multiply, so you'll get more and more over time. And in the following video, we're going to show you just how you do divide plants up. They're not all that easy, this one, so they're a good example. This is another. Oh, actually, that's another Caladium. We've got about 6 different types. That's another one there. And then this isn't a Caladium, this fella. That's a Caladium Snow White. Absolutely beautiful. Put that out in the garden. It grows in a very nice clump. Beautiful foliage. And they get really interesting flowers on them too. So just put that in there. With your tropical plants, you just got to be a bit careful till you know what its likes and dislikes are. Put it in a warm area, especially if it's extra tropical and you know it's hard to grow, like a coconut or something like that. You put it in a protected space, out of the wind. You don't particularly want morning sun on them. Morning sun can be a problem with the really extra tropical plants, not the ones that handle most conditions, but they often don't like it if there's been really cool weather and then suddenly they get the sun on them. So tropical plants do not like wet and cold together. That's the thing. They're adapted to wet weather because they have a wet season. They're adapted to dry weather because there's a dry season where they come from. But they're not and they'll take cold weather as well. But when it's wet and cold together, they don't like that. So that's what you don't want. That's a combination you don't want. And that combination is made an awful lot worse if you've got them in a potting mix that isn't well drained. So if your potting mix is getting old and it's lost its good drainage as it breaks down, replace it. And when you first pot it up, make sure you put a bit of coarse material in the potting mix so that it's going to be well drained for that year. So if you've got wet and cold and you've got poor drainage, well, that's going to kill any tropical plant. So keep that in mind. Put it in a warm spot, put it up against the wall where the sun reflects on it, and use those sort of considerations. Keep your fertiliser up to it. Fungicide if need be. That's starting to look like a bit of a problem, and you should have some success with tropical plants. There's a couple more here. These alocasias. This is a one called Portadora. Beautiful leaf. Actually gets a huge leaf on it, that one, about 1 metre, and it's a nice frilly edge on it, and it's got an interesting trunk. Have a look at the pattern on the trunk. Now, this is another one that I find, another alocasia. Now, these tend to die down in the winter also. That's Lauderbacchiana alocasia. Got a really interesting leaf, and again, very interesting little trunk on it. And you'll find that all the alocasias tend to multiply, and you can propagate them. You cut that off there, you cut it just down below the surface there, you'll get that top to grow again, and then it'll re-sprout, and it might re-sprout 2 or 3 there, if you're lucky. Same with the Caladiums. You grab one of these. Here's a more a leggy one here. You see, with this one here, we'll cut that off there. Well, first we can take these 2 babies out, right, and repot them. You can cut that off there, and it'll re-sprout from there. And you cut that back here, and that will grow. That's with the Caladiums, okay? And that you can feel the really strong root system in there. Develops really strong roots. So I hope that gives you an idea of tropical plants. It's a big field. I've only touched one squillion of it. It's a, maybe you should look at this Medinella before we go. It's another one. Medinella Miriantha. Got that there in our catalogue at the moment. So, have a look at them. Be inspired by them. Tropical plants have just got so much energy through their colour and their growth rate. Let that energy spread and become part of you, and you'll find that you'll have a lot of fun with tropical plants. Catch you next time.